Okay, so I'm going to do quick solutions to the Outcome 2-3 skill review so that we're ready to go when we finish up these outcomes next week. So for the first one, we're reviewing some of our algebra simplifying skills. We've got combining like terms for the first two, distribution for the next two, and then those two things mushed into the same question in the last two. So with combining like terms, the key things are you're trying to put together things that are the exact same variable with the exact same exponent. We can add and subtract those types of terms. So we start with 4x. I look for other terms with x. I see this one here, and remember it's that sign in front that goes with it. So we're doing 4x minus 5x, we get negative 1x. Now we have positive 3y minus 2y, we get plus 1y, so it's a positive answer. You put a plus between your terms. And then the last one, we have 8z plus, this one says just z, which means 1z, so we get positive 9z for that one. For this one, x squared is a different size than x, so they're different numbers. X squared is a different number than x. I can't combine terms with x squareds and x's, but I can combine x squareds with other x squareds. So I have 3x squared minus 1x squared, so I get 2x squared. I have minus 4x, keep that negative in front, plus 10x, so we get positive 6x. And then we have 5, take away 12, that'll be negative 7. When there's a number in front of brackets, it means you're multiplying that term by both things or all the things in the brackets. So 4 times 1x is 4x. 4 times 3 is 12, so that turns into 4x plus 12. If there's an x involved, well, 4 times 1 is still 4. X times x is x times itself. It's x to the power of 2. And then 4x times 3 is 12x. There's an x in that multiplication. There's an x in the answer. This one here, we're going to follow BEDMAS. We're going to do our multiplying first. So 3 into that bracket, you got 3x minus 6. And then remember, always the sign in front is part of the number. So that's a negative 5. We're multiplying by 2x, we get negative 10x, and negative 5 times negative 7 is actually positive 35. We get negative 7x, and we get 6 taken away from 35 is 29. Same idea here, but we've got more x's involved. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 4 is 12x. Negative 2x times 3x is negative 6x squared. Negative 2x times 5 is negative 10x. I've got 3x minus 6x squared. I get negative 3x squared. We've got 12x minus 10x. We get positive 2x. Now we're getting into these two-step equations that we practice so much. So remember, we've got one side with two terms on it and one side with just a number. The first step is get the side with two terms, get rid of the term without the x. So that's a plus 7, get rid of that by minusing 7. I'm left with 4x equals 28. What you do to one side, you do to the other. To get rid of the 4 in front of the x, we divide both sides by 4, and we get x equals 7. Same setup, different order. The side with two terms, get rid of the term that doesn't have an x first. And then divide by the number in front of x. Same setup, different order. The 13's the thing we got to get rid of first so that I get the 9x by itself. So that's a positive 13. You get rid of positive 13 by subtracting 13. We're left with just 9x on the left side. And 40 take away 13 is 27. Divide by the 9, you get x equals 3. Almost the same setup here. Get rid of that 14, it's a positive 14, subtract 14. So negative 10 subtract 14 is negative 24. Just got to be careful here. That sign belongs to that 3. That's a negative 3x. And then we're going to divide by the number in front of x. The number in front of x is a negative, so we're dividing by negative 3. Two negatives make a positive. And then we did some scientific notation stuff. So when it's to write the standard notation, that means just write it as a normal number. Remember, this is a way of shortening, because timesing by 10 to the 5 just moves the decimal place when you're multiplying by powers of 10. That's why this is handy. When it's a positive, it means we're moving 5 spaces to the right. So if I move 2 spaces, I get to the end of 372. I've moved 2, I got to move 3 more spaces. I'm going to get an extra 3 zeros. Negative exponents means we're moving to the left. So if I move it once, I get the decimal in front of the 284. And if I move it, that's once, so I got to move it 2 more times. So I'm going to get 2 more decimals, 2 more zeros before I get my decimal point there. So that one will be 0.00284. When we're writing numbers into scientific notation, we always want one number in front of the decimal. So I might write that as 4.385, and I don't need the zeros. And then what I'm going to do is figure out how many times do I need to move the decimal. Well, 3 spots would get it to here. Another 3 spots would get it to there. I got to move it a total of 6 to the right. For this one, I'm going to put the decimal in between the 4 and the 8. We always want 1 in front. So now, if the decimal's there, it's got to be moved 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So times 10, and since I'm going to the left, -4 for that one. And the handy thing about scientific notation is you don't have to punch these big numbers into your calculator if you know your exponent rules. So here we can do 3 times 2.4. So since everything's multiplication, I can do the multiplication in any order I want. So 3 times 2.4, I believe, is 7.2. Times, now do the powers. 10 to the 6 times 10 to the 3 is 10 to the power of 9. Same thing with, so we add the exponents when we're multiplying. That's one of our exponent rules that we learned. Same thing with dividing. I can divide the numbers like normal. So I can do 5.34 divided by 3.26. I'm actually going to have to find my calculator on here. As if I know how to do that when I'm in tablet mode. There's a picture of me. Switch out of tablet mode so I can actually find my calculator. Sorry about this. 5.34 divided by 3.26 is 1.63 it said? 64 if I round. And then exponent rules, when you're dividing, you subtract the exponents. So 10 to the 5, 10 to the 8, subtract in the order that it's written. 5, take away 8 would be -3. So that's a really small answer, 0.00164 if I change it. Okay, and last ones. So multiplying here, everything's being multiplied. It's all, I can do the multiplication in any order, so I'm going to multiply the things I know how to multiply. I know how to multiply 3 and 2. That's 6. X to the 3 times x to the 4 is x to the 7. Y to the 5 times y to the 2 is y to the 7. You add your exponents. Dividing, you subtract the exponents, but the numbers you just divide because they're just numbers. We don't need a special rule to divide 24 and 8. So 24 divided by 8 is 3. X to the 4 divided by x to the 6, we do need that special rule, and the rule is you subtract. 4 minus 6 is -2. This y on the bottom is y to the power of 1, so I'm going to get y to the power of 7 when I subtract those exponents. It says leave final answers with only positive exponents. So remember, those negative exponents, what it meant is we're actually dividing by x squared instead of multiplying by x to the -2. So you just move those ones with the negative exponent into the denominator, and you make that exponent positive. And our last rule was power on a power. So I've got these things inside the bracket that already have powers, and I've got another power outside. The rule here was you multiply those exponents. So I'm going to get x to the power of 12 when I multiply x to the 3, when I multiply that exponent 3 with 4. The y inside is y to the power of 1, so it's going to be y to the power of 4. The z on the bottom is also included in the brackets, so it's also going to get multiplied. We're going to get z to the power of 32. And then the thing people will often forget is that is a 3 to the power of 1. So it's going to get the 1 multiplied by the 4. It's going to become 3 to the power of 4. And we can work out what that actually is. 3 to the power of 4 is 81, I believe. X to the 12, y to the 4, over z to the 32. And that's how I'd leave my final answer there. So that's a recap of those skills. Make sure you do go over these and get ready to go next week, because next week we're going to cover both of these topics and have an assessment to get to 5 stars on both of these topics.